I call the Kitty Hawk Town Council to order this Tuesday, September 7, 2021, at Kitty Hawk Town Hall. It's now 6 p.m. on the dot. Would you join us for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. You'll hear a motion on the agenda. Motion to approve, Mr. Mayor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Next, we have presentations. The first is Public Works Director Willie Midget.
Good evening, Mr. Mayors, members of the Town Council. Tonight, we get to recognize Willie Midget, our Public Works Director, for 15 years of faithful and loyal service to the town of Kitty Hawk. Prior to working for the town, Willie is a retired Coast Guard, where he reached Chief Boatswain's Mate with the position of Officer in Charge. He has extensive training in FEMA. Willie has really just kind of an all-around public works director as far as the things that he deals with on a daily basis, everything from beach nourishment to sidewalks to mowing, just to a lot of different things that he's responsible for that doesn't go unrecognized, but he is the person that we call on a lot, and if there's a complaint that's called the town hall 9 times out of 10, it's Willie's department that has to take care of it, and we all kind of know that. So Willie, congratulations on 15 years of service. You're here in the weekends, you're here at nights when we have storms. You're working, I call you a working public works director because if you've ever seen Willie, sometimes he's on a tractor, sometimes he's on a mower, he does whatever he has to do to get the job done with the limited staff that he has. So he's a stand-up guy, and he's a great representative for the town of Kitty Hawk. So just congratulations, we got a plaque here for you, recognition of 15 years of service, dedicated service to the town of Kitty Hawk. So you started in 2006, and hope you
Thank you very much.
continue to have a great attendance.
Okay, Willie. You're ex-coastie, so I can get away doing this. Everybody look at Willie. Can you believe he was an ant? He was in charge of an aids to navigation team, and he did an excellent job. And then he came here, and he's done an even more excellent job. We've been very lucky to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Willie.
Thanks, Willie.
All right, next we have Dr. Jack Bagwell, COA.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jack Bagwell. I'm the president of College of the Albemarle, and this is Dean Tim Sweeney, who is the campus dean down here at COA Dare. We wanted to share just a few things with you. We've got some exciting happenings going on at the college, and especially right now we're going to talk about COA Dare, but we just opened a new campus facility at COA Currituck for basic law enforcement, and Craig, look like we like him now. We've got some good space up there for them to use, and it's been fantastic. I hope it has been for you all.
It's wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And so we're going to see some fantastic space come online here at COA Dare down in Manio by the end of this winter. Sometime around January, February, we're expecting to get the keys and be in it for programming probably in the summer. We'll start some move over and do some things, but really programming it for academic and continuing education programs in the summer, and in the fall, obviously, full bore. So this is the south side of the main building that we see there. You're going to see a lot of gathering space, a lot of student space, a lot of community space. This is a great opportunity for us to continue to bring downtown Manio to the campus and the campus to downtown Manio. We have several things that we are in the works on, and we want to make sure that the community gets on that campus as often as we possibly can. So if there are any programming opportunities for the town, for the county, for you all, that you need a space to meet in, a large space, we certainly are open to having you come visit us. We're going to have an amphitheater that we hope to work with the community organizations to program and get some performances and some activities down there. Manio is planning I think they say a 10-foot wide lighted pathway between the campus and downtown, so there should be free access back and forth. And when they have festivals and activities, obviously we will be part of the gathering place and parking and whatever we need to be. So I'm going to click through these pretty well. This is the north side looking from Manio to the arrival of the building. See how it's going to be situated on the lot. The current, I'm going to try to move the mouse around here, the current professional arts building is here. It is going to be redone on the exterior to make sure that it fits with that architecture that Manio expects of the college and the county. And so inside it's going to be fantastic too. As I said, COA Currituck is our latest addition, and we have two new parts of buildings really that we're sharing with Currituck County that are on either side of our what has been known as the Regional Aviation and Technical Training Center. But now we're calling our campuses COA Dare, COA Currituck, COA Elizabeth City, COA Eatonton-Chewan. You don't know, we have 4 campuses obviously in 7 counties. We have a huge service area, especially if you consider the water. But we are, again, thrilled to have these 4 campuses and getting new building construction underway on 3 of the 4 and some updates on the 4th. But you see that this is going to be fantastic space for students, and again for community and for exhibits and professional development programming and whatever we can come up with, and the views are fantastic as you can imagine. And then as we see the professional arts building, it's going to be sort of reclad so that it looks like the other building. Let me back up, I went through that quickly, so that you can see the colors are going to match up and be something that the community can be exceedingly proud of. So, just to go through these very quickly, Craig asked me if I had a 2-hour presentation. We could make it 2 hours, but we're going to do as quickly as we can because your agenda looks very full today, so we appreciate any time that you've allotted for us. But we continue to have college transfer degrees, but I want to make sure that you all know that we're also working with trade stuff out there, trades programs. We're doing welding updates. We've spent a couple $100,000 updating our welding apparatus. We've done HVAC work out there for our HVAC program. We have building construction, plumbing, and some other things, and we have great community support that's allowing us to do some of that because we know that that is needed. Those programs are needed for this area. In fact, I saw an email from Tim today about another program that would be a continuing education program that would be needed in this area as we talk about repairs and operations of elevators and all of those things that are not unique to this area, but certainly well represented in our hospitality focused area. One thing I did want to talk a little bit about though before I yield the podium, we have a lot of opportunities to help students get through. The enrollment at the college should not be dependent upon a student's ability to play, especially here at Dare County with the Dare Guarantee. Students can go to our transfer tracks into industrial engineering, building construction trades, HVAC, welding, whatever we have to offer, and the Dare Guarantee essentially pays for it. So we have the ability to enroll students in Dare County free of charge. If they're Pell eligible, great. If not, the citizens of Dare County have stepped up to a $250,000 commitment every year to make sure that the residents of Dare County get the training that you all need down here at the beach. So we have scholarships, we have COA cares, which is how we take care of our students if they have a need that arises through the semester. We have donations that have been given by our community members, and we try to help in any way we can. So through continuing education, credit programs, short-term, long-term training, you name it, we have it at our different locations. And then in Currituck, COA Currituck, we have a couple of anchor programs, Aviation Systems Technology, which is an FAA certified program, Computer Integrated Machining, and some other. We've got a lot of transfer there too, Computer Aided Drafting, Culinary in Edenton, Chewan. We're looking at some partnership opportunities to bring more culinary down here to the beach. But that takes a big investment. We've got to have partnerships. We've got to make sure that we are getting the most bang for the college buck, as you all certainly understand. So this is the professional arts building now before it's been redone. But I'm going to let Tim take over here and talk about some things that are unique here. And he's going to give you a short, pithy, what we've got going on right now. And I wanted you to make sure that you met Dean Sweeney. So any questions for me or comments before I yield the remainder of my time to Tim?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
It's a pretty campus. When did you guys start that?
The campus down here,
Jared, the one in Mania.
the one in Manio. Tim, do you know
The original campus, Dave, you're talking about this new building?
The new building.
Oh, the new building?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
It's probably, we started October, November of last year. So it's really, really a quick turnaround by Barnhill Construction Company. As a matter of fact, they're right on time, a little bit ahead of time. Knock on wood, right, everybody?
the? Yeah, that professional, I'm sorry, I thought you were asking when the professional arts building was built. So that's
Yes,
been
sir.
there better part of the last decade.
Yeah, that's, the professional arts building is about 11, 12 years old. It's,
But the new campus, I mean, I've been seeing it go up. It looks nice, and
Yeah.
you guys are doing a great job. What's the square footage of that one?
About 36,000. So 36,000, give or take, square feet. I did want to call your attention to the handout that Tim gave you. That's what we're calling our impact report. That's last year's, you'll get this year's, but it tells you where funding comes in, where we have donations, what we have, programming we have, how many dual enrollment students we have in the county. And I think that should provide you some information. If you'd like to see more of that, please let me know and we'll include it in the next community impact report.
You guys done a great job. Thank you for answering.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Dean
Thank you.
Sweeney.
Yeah, just a comment, so you know about the high schools and what we're doing for the high school students. Our county has probably the largest number of high school students taking college courses. And a lot of people think it's just for four-year college transfer, which is true. 85% of our students go to a four-year university. The other 15% we have in career and technical programs such as the welding and the HVAC. We got marine diesel, so we're really trying to get the career and technical program, and that's also dual enrollment. So high school students can take those classes in career and technologists just like they do for college transfer. And the last thing I want to say is that the current building that we're located in right now, it's on Russell Twyford. That building has been given to the county as part of the new building construction, and that's going to become an early college. If you're familiar with J.P. Knapp here in Currituck, it's an early college where students can start their freshman year and take a college course, and then they take college courses throughout. And they're right down the street now to the new building, so they'll be taking college classes. So they'll get an associate's degree before they get a high school degree. And that should add even more students getting college education here. So that's the things we can tell our parents. And I know the three high schools are doing that already. So, but I want to thank you, Mayor, for having us. Lynn, thank you for taking care of the technology. You're doing the emails. It's really great. Of course, Andy, thank you for all you're doing. So thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we clear out of the way?
Great job.
Thank you all, I appreciate you, and let us know how we can help you.
Thank you.
We're going to exit stage left.
Okay, y'all have a nice night.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mans, Woodard, Representative, you've been here a long time. It's finally your turn, sir.
Sorry, I left my communication device. I may need to.
Mayor, Council, thanks for having me tonight. I hope to present a good bit of information to you tonight. I don't know if I'll be as quick as the last gentleman, my apologies, but hopefully it's some good information and you guys have questions that I can answer. So I'm going to go through and present the new joint use public safety facility for the town of Kitty Hawk. Team introductions and then previous experience highlights. Then I'm going to go into some cost for public safety designs, the needs assessment that we've done, budget challenges, and then hopefully you don't have to wait till the end for questions. Please ask questions as you need. Myself, my name is David Woodward. I'm the founding principal of Mans Woodward Studios. I have roughly about 22 years of experience in public safety design specifically. And my partner, Rob Mans, who has been the one working with all the people down here for the most part. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it because he's in California today. But he has roughly the same amount of experience that I do, and we've been in business doing public safety specifically at our own practice since about 2008, which brings us to the firm's background. Established 2006, started doing business in 2008 in public safety, medium-sized by intention. What that means is that Rob and I are very familiar with just about every project that we do. Because we have such an extensive background in public safety design, we want to make sure that we pass that knowledge on through everybody that works for us and everybody that we work with. We have a focus on technology, which we can produce some of the same images that you saw previously, along with a lot of other more technical pieces for this type of public safety building. We do have national and regional experience, as you can see from this diagram here. We have a lot of regional experience in the Mid-Atlantic, coastal region going inland. We also consult for public safety in many states across the country. So the first thing I want to get to is the cost factors for public safety facilities. A lot of times there's a lot of things that people might not quite understand about public safety facilities that we need to get into. So one of the first areas that we started with is to go back through some historical cost data. We put together several of the square foot costs for past projects, both ours and other colleagues of ours. And what you can see from this data is for a law enforcement police facility, the average cost from about 2008 to about 2020 is about $591 a square foot. The mean through these projects is about $556. So either case, we're well over $500 a square foot for a law enforcement facility. The factors that play into that are many. I'm not going to go over this whole list, but some of the things that we need to think about. Site specifically, there are standoff distances that we need to incorporate for safety of the facility specifically. There are extra parking requirements for shift changes, things like that. One of the items as we go through this that you're going to hear me talk a lot about is the risk category 4 for structures. This is a building code requirement that requires these facilities to be designed at a higher level structurally than any other building. Basically, these buildings need to be last building standing is the term that we always use to explain this. But beyond that, the abuse resistance of materials for the type of facility it is, specialized equipment that goes in the facility, all these factors start to play a role in that $591, $556 mean average cost. The same thing, we did the same thing for fire and EMS. Went over several of these projects, and as you can see here, while still specialized, a fire facility or EMS facility comes down a bit. We're still well over $350 a square foot for this type of facility. You can see the average cost here is $383, and the median cost is $379. And again, All the same factors that go into a police facility, most of the same factors that go into a police facility apply to the fire and EMS. And unless you want me to, I can go over all these, but I'm going to go right past it for time's sake. So the one thing that we have to understand is not all square footage is rated equally. What I mean by that is we start with the blue, which typically in a fire facility ends up being the apparatus base. The square footage there costs a lot less than other square footage. Typically the bathrooms become the highest cost, kitchens become the highest cost square footage. So even though it's not rated equally, we have to take this information and digest it and put out an average cost per square foot for a building, which is where we start to begin. But this is really important information because a lot of times when we talk about budget and taking program out or adding program into a building, the first thing that tends to go are the biggest. So some of the things like apparatus base. They don't have a whole lot of impact on budget either way because the square footage for that space is costs a lot less than the rest of the building. Designing for value. So this is a quick informational slide as to the time at which these changes really should be made. So while we're at the very beginning, which is the green, costs a lot less to make changes, but as we move through the process, through programming, through schematic design, going into design development, and obviously contract documents and construction, changes cost a lot more as you go through the process. Currently, right now, we're in the second green block, which is schematic design. So we wanted to go through a couple case studies, coastal, local projects, to develop some of the square foot analysis that we showed you before. Some of these are our projects, some are not. So it's a good case study for projects that aren't ours, because then you guys can get a real good feel of what's out there generally. So Dare County Emergency Operations Center, completed 2017, 18,200 gross square feet with a cost of $14.1 million. So to get an apples for apples comparison, we had to use an increase to get it to what it would cost today. Today that facility would cost $17.3 million with a cost per square foot of $952 per square foot. This is very high, but an operations facility has a lot of technology that goes into it that's not in some of the other public safety facilities. Therefore, we took $500 a square foot out for that technology, giving us roughly a $452 square foot cost for this facility. Dare County Southern Shores Volunteer Fire Department, as you can see, 2021, a little over 14,000 square feet with a price tag of $5.4 million. Bring that up to 2023. It would be $6.5 million with a square foot cost of $458. Center for Public Safety, Jacksonville, North Carolina. I apologize about the slide there. Date completed was 2014, 93,000 square feet with a cost of almost $23 million. Adjust that out to 2023, it'd be 32.7 with a square foot cost of roughly $352. Norfolk, Virginia Fire and Rescue, skip all the particulars, comes down to a cost of about $391 a square foot. Ocean City Fire Department in Maryland. This one is currently under design, completed for 2023. Right now it is roughly 24,000 square feet, and our cost estimate for this project is at $12.7 million. This is $533 a square foot. Dare County Animal Shelter, 2021, 8,727 square feet with $4.5 million. Projected out to today, you get 4.86 and about $557 a square foot. Yes, sir.
Everything you're showing us is all fine. You can go back and look at all that stuff. It's not, none of that's what we want.
I understand. All I'm trying to do is kind of set up an expectation of public safety facility. The next part of the presentation is getting into your project specifically.
Sounds like you're setting up cost is what you're setting up.
Absolutely.
And what we want is what kind of structure are you planning to give us? And then we'll get into cost.
Yeah.
Unless I'm real wrong here. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
Okay. So with that, where we started is the building programming and concept design. So my partner came down, talked with Jenny, Joel, Mike, went through the using agency's needs, discussed their spaces, and developed and prioritized the needs and the wants of the facility itself. Those efforts were a conditional assessment, space needs analysis, and what we call a bubble interrelationship diagram. Those are the items that we took forward and put together the actual written space program, and we're able to refine that space program to develop the floor plan that I believe you guys have seen. Prior to the floor plan, that generated this list of spaces. This is a graphical list of spaces to be put into this joint use facility. Adjusting your mess. I thought you had a question, I'm sorry. So we discussed their specific needs in detail. We analyzed and further refined the information after developing this graphic list of spaces and came up with this. Oh, the graphic's not coming through, I apologize. We'll go to this one. Develop this floor plan. And basically what happens in this floor plan, we've come up with the blue, which is police, green, which is EMS, red, fire, yellow, which is shared space. If we go back to police, we have roughly 5,770 net square feet, which is 33% of the building. We have, for EMS, 4,596 net square feet, which is 26.9 or 27% of the building. For fire, we have 4,386 net square feet, 25%. And shared space at 2,609 net square feet for roughly 15% of the building makeup. Net square feet does not include corridors, walls, everything to make the building. So the gross square footage came out to 23,418 square feet total. So from a program floor plan look, the usage of the building, EMS and the gross up factor takes up 39% of the building, while the town program of police and fire and the gross up factor for that takes up 61% of the building. Graphically, you can see the areas in blue and green to understand which goes with which. And this gets us to the budget challenges. As of right now, the line that needs to be met is that $5.5 million, which is that red dashed line. The bay is an unconditioned space. As I mentioned previously, that space is usually less per square foot, comes out to about $250 per square foot. At 6,800 square feet, you have about $1.7 million of bay space. The conditioned finished space at 440 per square foot at 16,620 gets you about $7,312,800 with a site contingency of about $800,000. The site contingency is what we feel would be enough to cover the site development itself. The other numbers are for the building. So the estimated construction cost planned 2 years down the road would be approximately $9.8 million with an estimated square foot cost of $419 per square foot. So what we did at that point is we wanted to give a little bit of a graphical analysis to get down to the 5.5. The black outline, as you see before you, is the planned building outline. Per square footage, if we took out the square footage to get to that 5.5, the red outline would become your building. We call this method 1A. So the program building is 23,420 square feet. The budgeted building would be 13,126 square feet, which is roughly a 44% reduction in the assessed program space. Just to give you a different graphical representation of this is the same thing. However, instead of bringing that outline in, we've reduced it and kept some of the black outline the same. Still the same thing, a 44% reduction in space. It would be required to meet that red line of 5.5 million. A second way of looking at this, or method 2, would be to eliminate the fire program. Eliminating the fire program eliminates the spaces outlined in gray or shaded in gray. As you can see, it doesn't reduce the square foot by a whole lot. The column on your right is without the fire program. The red line sits at the line at which you need it to be to meet your budget. Method 3 would be a balanced reduction. Remove program space a little bit from each, or I don't want to call it unnecessary space, but less prioritized space from each program, fire, police, EMS. In doing this, we have a very similar result in that we still cannot meet the red line. Again, the column on the right is the reduced square footage of the building. This is just a summary of the three. The program space, as we develop the program with the using agencies, is on the far left. That first method, M1 budgeted, which is a reduction of a total of 44% altogether square footage. M2, eliminate the fire. M3, the balanced reduction. As you can see, the only one that comes close to the budgeted line is the reduction of 44%. Unfortunately, the budgeted M1 results in almost a non-functional building. You would have to take out the 44%, and that 44% would include some required spaces. So, I wanted to give you guys just a quick idea of what it would take if we eliminated the fire program altogether. It's a reduction of fire captain suite bunks, toilet showers, quartermaster storage, apparatus bays. Ultimately, that would eliminate 3,304 square feet, and that cost-wise equals out to roughly $1.4 million, a little less than $1.4 million. If you decided to build a separate facility that was a fire facility, in today's market, that would cost you about $1 million more than you're saving. The reason for that is because there's an offset of the program spaces. In the combined facility, you have spaces that are used by all three agencies, whereas if you did a separate facility, you would have to double up those spaces and put them in the new facility. Therefore, a new facility at this point in time would cost you roughly $1 million more at 2.45. If you waited 5 years down the road, that gets close to $3 million. If you wait 10 years, you're at 3.5, 3.6. If you wait 15 years, you're almost at $4.5 million. So, kind of to step back and understand some of these facilities. You heard me mention the category risk 4 for the structural capacity. These are the minimum standards that we have to meet per code. And again, that risk assessment is, for example, the typical building in this area would have a wind rating that they would have to be required to meet. In a category 4 risk assessed building, that wind rating goes up. That building has to withstand a wind pressure of higher than normal building. And that goes across the board for all the structural components of the building.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What's the wind rating that you're referring to much more? 140, 150?
I'd have to look it up. I don't have it off the top of my head. I want to say it's roughly about 160, but I don't have that right in the top of my head right now, but I can get it to you if you'd
I'd be
like.
curious to know that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, how those are rated is the risk factor is a percentage of what it is. So the category 4 would be, say, a 1.1 increase over the 1 that a normal building would be. So again, these buildings have to be risk category 4 structures, last building standing. All of these items that you see on this slide are in these areas. You have to be able to resist these and be the last building standing for first responders. So we get back to an average cost of construction. So typical construction that we see is about $300 a square feet. Police, as we stated before, closer to that $600 a square foot range. Fire and EMS operations, closer to the $400 range, while bays and support for those buildings are about $250. The trends in that escalation, as you can see, besides 2008, have been on an upward rise. Fortunately or unfortunately, the past 6 quarters have been fairly consistent. Why I say unfortunately or fortunately is because we believe that once COVID is through, these numbers are actually going to go way up, unfortunately. So the cost of waiting, from the information that we have right now, in 2023 at green, we're just under 10 million. 2028, just under 12. 2033, over 14. 2038, close to 18 million. So where we are in the process right now, we have completed the kickoff the program, the fitting and planning, and we are now in the schematics phase of this project. If you'd like me to, I can go through the process of a project. Otherwise, for time's sake, I'm going to kind of go by this slide.
Anybody need to see that? No.
No? Okay. So schedule. The typical design build process would be the longest schedule. This schedule would be a process of going through design, finishing the documents, putting it out on the street for public bid, going through the bid process, going through the award process, and then starting the construction process. That is the longest amount of time for a construction process, but it is the typical process that we see go through. Currently, the civil design is approximately 9 months. The building design is approximately 7 months, and the construction is 305 days. So about 10 months is what we're looking at for the construction and design of this building. Altogether, that would be 19 months approximately. In a construction management at risk or CMAR situation, we can lose about 2 months. And that 2 months really comes into the procurement process of the project. At construction manager at risk, we see the construction manager coming on board before the design is finished and actually providing a professional service during design. And with that CMAR at risk, they would then be the constructors of the building, and therefore you would actually take that procurement process and push it into the design phase and overlap that. That's where you save your 2 months. You're still approximately at 10 months for the construction, and you're still approximately 9 months for the total design. Any questions there?
I'm just curious why it takes 9 months to do civil engineering or civil design.
So it all depends upon the approval processes. For some reason in the past 2 or 3 years, the approval process that has to be gone through has gotten more and more complicated. That's about all I can say.
And you guys are architects, correct?
Correct.
So are you doing the design of the building?
We're doing the design of the building, yes, sir.
And would you say that was 10 months? 9
No,
months?
the design of the building is about 7.
7 months?
Yep.
Okay.
I think what you're asking is any way to speed up this
I
process.
mean, that's where I'm going with it.
This is unacceptable.
It
This
seems
is
like it's taking a
unacceptable.
long time.
Okay?
I'm not trying to tiptoe around it. I just, you know, I'm in the construction business, just FYI, and I'm not saying I design police departments, but I'm very familiar with, you know, what goes on here. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm the smartest guy when it comes to some of the international things that you guys may have to follow, but when I saw the timelines of completion being into 2023, that to me is a long time. And these guys are already, you know, our police department's in a bad area already. It will be the first building gone. So, you know, I'm not very, I can't speak for everybody else, but I personally think there's timelines. I hope they can be shortened up. And then, you know, I thought I saw somewhere too where substantial completion was actually in August of 23. Or, right, so that's not turning over certificate of occupancy for them to move in. That's substantial completion is exactly what it says. That's not finished.
Well, substantial completion would be an occupiable building.
Okay, well, I see similar language in contracts on a daily basis, and that's fine. Thanks for clarifying that. I understand you guys are doing the best job you can. It needs to be expedited, I think, a little bit quicker if at all possible, without compromising integrity.
Absolutely. So the civil engineer that's on board is Timmons. I don't know if you're familiar with Timmons.
I am not, I'm sorry. But
They are a local civil engineer. And this is their timeline for the civil process.
when you say local, what do you mean, like where at, Camden or?
Where's their office? I apologize. I'll have to get you their address. I don't know their address.
Elizabeth City.
Elizabeth City?
there you
So
go.
are they part of the Hyman group or? I guess it doesn't matter. They're in Elizabeth City, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we got some lots over here on the bypass that, in my mind, needs to be cleared and ready to go. Now, I understand civil engineering is more to it than that. You got stormwater. I know all the things that go into that. It's just, to me, I'm trying to find a way to make it go a little bit quicker.
For sure.
And I can't speak for my colleagues, but I'm very passionate about what I'm talking about right now.
Is there a way to make it go quicker?
Right.
Because
Yeah, I mean,
we're not happy.
we're not trying
You
to.
said, excuse me, you said the approval process is
Yeah.
very slow.
Yes.
Who's approving what?
So there would be several agencies that would be approving the civil plans, from local through state, for stormwater management, mitigation, anything that has to be done with the site development specifically.
There shouldn't be any mitigation on those lots. They're high and dry.
No,
Okay.
I'm just in general, those are the
Right.
those are the site approvals that get done, and they're all through state and local plans review.
We have to get stormwater management permit or stormwater permits in First Flight Ridge in my neighborhood to pull a building permit. So and again, they calculate lot coverage is different. I mean, I get where you're at with it, but 9 months is just, I'd like to speed it up. I know I keep saying that, but.
And so a lot of times we run into this exact situation all across the country. And it really comes down to that approval process. A lot of times what happens is first off, we have no control after we submit a set of plans for comment to the reviewing agency, how long they take with those plans. And that review process can take anywhere from 2 to 6 to 8 weeks, and we have no control over that. That's part of the problem that we run into. So beyond the design, it is truly that approval process that is the critical path. So the architecture side of it, we can perform the architecture side and design the building in much less time than the civil approval processes can take.
And I guess another thing that kind of throws me off, I can apply for a nationwide permit and generally have that in 45 days to mitigate and fill Army Corps wetlands, as an example.
Okay.
So, you know, that's why I'm tripping up on trying to get my head wrapped around, well, you know, I understand that you don't control everything, but, you know, there's a lot of steps here that I think are being, and don't get me wrong, I'd rather you say it take 5 months and be 3 than 3 versus 5.
Right.
I appreciate and respect that. I just, if I can get an Army Corps permit in 45 days to be sure, and it's, you see where I'm going. I'm coming full circle right back to the timelines.
I absolutely understand what
Okay.
you're talking about.
All right.
And we can go back to the civil engineer and try and see what they can do to speed up this process, but I need you guys to understand that a lot of the process is out of our control because it's the approvals and the comments back.
Right.
Well, you haven't got to the civil engineering part yet, have you? You're still making designs
That's
and
correct.
deciding what design can be accepted by both budget and other constraints. So you're not even in there. So let's ask this hypothetical question. If you're still in the design phase, are you putting a full team on this full time, or is this just one of many projects?
No, we have a team on this project full-time, but currently what we need is to understand where we're going from here before we can go full bore on the design,
And what's holding that up?
the budget.
Okay. Any more questions?
I'm okay for right now. Thank you. Joe?
Got it? All right, thank you for the presentation. And we'll move on to our next situation.
Thank you for answering
Thank
my
you.
questions. I mean,
Absolutely.
Good, yep, thanks.
All right, while Landy's doing that, next we have public comment. Lynn, anybody signed up? No, sir. All right. Anyone in the hall that wishes to speak at public comment? All right, let the record show no one seemed to come forward. Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Does it have a second?
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Didn't have anything removed. Next, we have planning, and we're going to schedule some public hearings. So who wants to take the first one of those?
Mr. Mayor, I move to set a public hearing at the Town Council meeting on October 4th, 2021 to consider the proposed zoning map amendment to zone the entire parcel located at 3722 North Croatan Highway as BC1 General Beach Commercial.
Does that have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right. And we have another one. Who wants to take the next one?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to schedule a public hearing, zoning text amendment proposed to amend section 42-1 definitions, 42-250, BC-1, 42-251, comma, BC-2, 42-277, comma, VC-2, and 42-278, comma, VC-3 to define and allow tattoo studios as a special use. It is requested the hearing be held on October the 4th, 2021.
Does that have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. And we have one final schedule. Okay.
You want to do it?
As I find it.
You got it?
Mr. Mayor,
All right.
I move to set a public hearing at the town council meeting on October 4th, 2021, to consider a proposed text amendment to section 42-1 to define and regulate the development of accessory living structures.
All right. Does I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Okay. Next, we have new business and a coronavirus paid sick leave policy proposal. Andy, you want to kind of lead us off on that so the public understands what you're doing here?
Yeah. I want to yield to Melody Compton. She's our
And she,
more up to date. She deals with this on a daily basis, or has been recently, so she will do a lot better job than I would.
did he just sniff at you?
He did.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
So when the coronavirus first came about, the federal government had an act called the Families First Coronavirus Act that provided sick leave, leave for dependent care, extension of family medical leave, and different things. That law expired on December 31st, 2020. We kind of took the wait and see approach because things were seemingly getting better, and up until that point, we had had no employee test positive for COVID. Unfortunately, since July, we've had 7 employees test positive for COVID. And it seemed like the right thing to do to try to extend a paid leave while they were in the 10-day quarantine. We are not proposing paying for quarantining for somebody who has to stay at home because they've been exposed. But we thought the most equitable way to apply such a policy would be for anyone who tested positive for COVID to receive the paid COVID leave.
Okay. Council, anybody got a question?
No, sir.
All right. So the last paragraph on here is the one that I kind of wanted to make sure that the public understood. And basically what it boils down to, a vaccinated, let me see if I got this right. A vaccinated positive gets to stay home and collect pay even though they can basically work. All because some don't decide to get vaxxed. Am I right in that?
Say that one more time.
Positive vax positive. In other words, somebody who's been vaxxed and they get a breakthrough, all right? And they can collect pay, they can stay home, collect pay, even though they can really work. That's been determined by the science, is that not correct?
No, if you test positive, you have to stay home for 10 days.
You have to stay home.
Yes. If you are vaccinated and you are exposed to someone who is COVID positive, you can continue to work as long as you remain asymptomatic and wear your mask.
And you didn't have a positive test.
And you didn't have a positive test. And you can be unvaccinated, exposed, but not positive. If you can be completely isolated, you can continue to work.
But this policy, if you come up with a positive, then you go home,
You have to. That's
whether you're vaxxed or unvaxxed.
health, CDC, everybody. You're gone.
Right. Okay. All right. Do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure the public understood what was going on here. There's some things I don't like on the consent agenda because they don't tell the full story, and I try to take them off when that happens. All right, do I hear a motion, a recommended motion?
Mr. Mayor, I recommend a motion to approve the proposed coronavirus paid sick leave policy as presented.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right, thank you, Melody. Now, town manager, you got anything for us?
Just a reminder to the residents and the council that it's September 13th. There's large item pickup will begin in the town. Also, just on a positive note, last Friday, we received notification that the fire department, Chief Talley and his staff have worked extremely hard and the finance department to secure a grant for updating our radios in the fire department. That will update all of our radio systems and our trucks and everything. They were about 15 years old and severely needed to be replaced, so the grant was about $144,000, was it, Chief? So 148. The town will have to match that 5%, which is about $7,000, but we had previously set aside money in our capital improvements plan. We have about $50,000 set aside for that, but we will no longer need to set those funds aside, so we'll take the $7,000 out of the 50 we've been setting aside, and it's a pretty large grant for our community and for our firefighters and the safety, and it was a much needed grant, and it's going to be a much needed purchase for our department. So appreciate that, Mike, and tell your staff good job on that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is that equipment still single sole or sole purchase? It started out Motorola and you couldn't buy it from anywhere else. Is that still the case?
As far as the manufacturer of the radio?
Mm-hmm.
No, there's other models. I believe the police department is using a different model than what Motorola currently.
Okay, but then the different models can communicate with each other? Because that was the big deal back when we first bought those 15 years ago or whatever it was.
I'm not sure of that. I think those various models have been around longer than 15 years.
They kept some of the older models. But the big deal was they had to be Motorola, and it was back when the state troopers went on that VEX or whatever they was. Okay, thank you. Town attorney.
I've got nothing on my agenda, unless we're going to do
Okay.
come later.
We'll get you later. Town council, would you like to start tonight?
Yes, sir. I'll start out on a positive note. Willie, congratulations on your 15 years. You're awesome. What was stated earlier, all we have to do is call you and you're on the way. I've sent you an email before, a little problem I noticed, and I had a response back the same day, and I appreciate that. Thanks to all the staff. There's a young lady I'd like to bring attention to, Miss Megan Savona, lives on Poplar Court in Kitty Hawk. Megan is a 2018 First Light High School graduate. She's currently a senior at UNCW. Megan just took part on a 1,700-mile bike ride to raise awareness for sex trafficking. She started in Seattle, ended up in San Diego. 40 to 60 miles per day is what she averaged. I don't want to drive 1,700 miles, much less ride a bicycle 1,700 miles. But congratulations, Megan. Megan actually lives in Kitty Hawk Estates. Her family still lives there. Congratulations, and thank you for what you've done. That's awesome. The last thing, I am not at all happy with the police station progress. We've been talking about this for years. We're still nowhere. Like David said earlier, we haven't even cleared a lot yet. It sounds like council has a big decision to make on budget, scheduling. We've got a lot to talk about, but the more we talk, the more work is not getting done. So we need to proceed. We should already have something on that property right now going up, and we're not even close. So what we do with our budget, what we do with our timeline, our schedule, we've got some big things to talk about, and that's all I've got.
Lynn?
Well, we've officially made it through summer. It is after Labor Day, and our lifeguards are heading back to their lives and things are not settling down out there. Seems like there's still as much traffic, which is good for our economy. Anyway, everybody, stay safe. Willie, thank you for everything you do, and you do so much. The list is unending. You are the go-to guy and the grease that keeps the wheels of Kitty Hawk turning. And Chief Talley, enjoy your new radios. Communicate well as you continue to do. And everybody else, thank you for all your hard work. Stay safe, wear your masks, and stay well.
Everything Lynn said.
You can just use ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I'd also like to thank Willie. Willie, I appreciate all the work you do. When all these storms come, and I mean, when we talk about a go-to guy, this guy spends the night in, or stays up all night, whatever he does. He seems like to me he's here during storms all day and all night. We certainly appreciate it, Willie. We sure do. Chief Talley, thank you very much for the grant. That's certainly a great help to our taxpayers, and I'm sure they appreciate that. And all the rest of our staff, thank you very much. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, well, Willie, you've had enough congratulations. I do it regularly because you call me saying, hey, we need a pump, and can I do that or something? So, well, I'll go there. But I do want to talk to Chief Talley about the grant. And it's more than just the grant, folks. What you don't know sometimes, and I've spoken to this before, but let me put it into a summary. We've got a grant that saved you $140-some thousand. The fire department, under his leadership, has been out and painted fire hydrants. Now, a lot of you may not know that's not for beautification, although it does do that. Those fire hydrants are painted a specific color. Sometimes the color on the top has to be different to show, what is it, the pump flow rate or the gallons per, what is that?
Yes, it's per NFPA's color coding and marking system so that we know what GPM or gallons per minute we can potentially get out of that hydrant.
And that allows you to know what size hose to hook onto it and things of that nature.
Well, it's more of, we know what our output's going to be and what's our limit.
Gotcha. All right. And then further on, we had an old trailer sitting up on stilts that really needed to come down. I tried to get it down when I first came on council, but they were using it for training. They talked me out of it, and then Willie got somebody that had done something not good, and the court made him paint it. So that was okay. We could live with that for a little while. But now it's down, and it looks a lot better. And on top of that, he's gone out, Chief Talley and his troops have gone out, got Connex boxes, they've got a design for a training facility that will be local, it'll be ours, it'll save people from having to go far away to do the training, therefore it's saving us money, and they'll be better trained. They'll be here, and our local volunteers will also be here and be able to be trained locally and be more proficient in what they're doing. And that's the kind of thing that we've seen since the leadership came on, and we appreciate it. So thank you. Police department does a good job too, and we congratulate them when they do something. I got a whole bucket full of thank yous down here. You just keep doing good stuff, and I'll keep thanking you. Thank you. All right. Okay. Next, we're going to go into closed session, folks. There's a couple things we need to do. So I'm going to make a motion to go into closed session. There are two items. North Carolina General Statute 143, Tac 318.11, Alpha 1, approval of the September 8, 2020 and March 15, 2021 closed session minutes. And then the second one is North Carolina General Statute 143, Tac 318.11, Alpha 3, to consult with the town attorney to protect attorney-client privilege. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Okay.